Hi, and today I'm going to show you how to create a blinds blur effect. First, let's create a new composition. Next, we need to create our, let's say, map. To do this, we create a rectangle. Let's add a fill to it. We set the size to 100 by 2160. Let's go ahead and add a gradient ramp effect to our project. To do this, we will carefully set the position to a specific configuration, something that looks like this, ensuring it aligns perfectly with our design intentions. Something like this, perhaps. So next, let's try CC a little bit more. So the CC reptile is working for us, everything's good. Let's add the CC reptile effect to this layer. And we stretch it out, setting the values 2000, 2000 to the right, and 2000 to the left to completely cover, let's say, our composition. Just like that. So, pre-compose. This will be our map. Okay, the next step will be to add our footage. I have this footage, an animated background. Let's turn off our map. The footage I have is too small, so I'm adjusting it. I'm setting it to 200. Then, in Cloud Studio, we add a displacement map. We very carefully select our map for the displacement map. Here, we set the absolute maximum vertical value to exactly 0. Here, we set it to approximately 50. Now, in the following step, we are going to apply the fastbox blur effect, which is a technique used to smooth out the image by averaging the colors of neighboring pixels. Value 0.5 just to blur it a bit. Exposure to slightly increase the brightness. My image is a bit dark. And the next step will be to create our main adjustment layer. Let's call it CC, which stands for color correction, and all sorts of effects. We'll add the camera lens blur effect to it with a value of 30. Next, we'll add the Magnify effect. Magnetic files. Value 110 and 1000. Approximately 1200 and circle up. In addition to the other enhancements, we are incorporating a subtle grain effect to the visual elements, which will add a textured and artistic quality to the overall appearance. If the preview is turned on, you can see how, to avoid overloading the system, our noise will look something like this. Let's take, for example, some codec preset. Codecon. Let's turn off the color, so it becomes black and white. Black and white grain noise. And let's take the final output so that it applies to our entire image. It's turning out to be such a cool effect. So the next step will be to duplicate our map. Move it up, turn it on. Next, turn on the screen blending mode. Firstly, we apply the effect called Gaussian Blur Legacy. The value is set to 10. Furthermore, we also include the invert effect so that it changes in the other direction. Then we also add the effect tint so our image doesn't come out too white. We need to change the white color to gray, then our background will show up a bit more. Let's take a closer look at the auto contrast effect, which is a feature that automatically adjusts the contrast of an image to enhance its overall appearance. While it can be useful in some situations, it often doesn't have a significant impact on the image quality. This is why many professionals prefer to manually adjust the contrast using the Curves tool, which offers more precise control over the tonal range of the image. By manipulating the curve, you can achieve the desired contrast. This is already more interesting. Yes, we've added our curves, and since our background is not showing up very well, we can slightly change the visibility of our top layer, which we have set to the screen blending mode. We select it, press T, and reduce the opacity to about 80. Oh, this looks great. So this is roughly what our image looks like. And to, for example, show it, to have a more interesting look, to show only half. With that effect, you can simply select our CC and the top layer and drag it to the right halfway, for example. And to make this displacement disappear from the bottom part, we'll just duplicate the layer again. Let's select the mask, specifically just this part. And let's remove all the effects, except for the exposure. Yes, and now we have such a beautiful blur effect and a kind of blinds effect. That's all from me.